Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Jet Taylor. This video is going to be my first update on my emotional and mental health. Trigger warning before I start this video. I will be talking about anxiety, depression, suicide, and self-harm. So if you're triggered by any of that, I would advise you to not watch this video. Prior to even figuring out that I was transgender, I was severely depressed. From 2012 to 2014, I was lost. I couldn't picture a future. Didn't think that I'd ever even get this far in life. There were multiple times between the course of 2012 to 2014 that I had actually tried committing suicide. And at this point in my life, I'm so happy that it never worked. None of my attempts ever worked. In February of 2015, I had reached one of my lowest points of my depression. My anxiety was through the roof, the worst anxiety I've ever had in my entire life. When I was working for my dad, just being there in general gave me anxiety on top of the anxiety that I had trying to figure myself out and get my letter, and the anticipation of getting to start T was getting at me, and it was adding on to my anxiety as well. I was too anxious. Every day at work, I would break down and cry. I would have awful anxiety attacks, awful panic attacks. I'm talking like, I would lock myself in the bathroom at least once a day. I would sit on the ground, balled up, and just bawl my eyes out. And I didn't know why I was crying. I couldn't pinpoint what was bothering me so bad. Although I knew deep down that it was because I wasn't on testosterone yet. And in February, I was unable to look at myself in the mirror. Every time I would get to a point where I couldn't control my emotions, or I was having like an anxiety attack or a panic attack, I would lose control and look at myself in the mirror and tell myself that I hated myself. Told myself that I wasn't worthy. I was just my biggest bully. I didn't give myself any credit for how far I have gotten, and I was just all around not happy with myself whatsoever. So I took it out pretty bad on myself. When I would look at myself in the mirror and I would pinpoint the things that I hated on my face or my body, and I used to hit myself. It got out of hand really bad. There was this one time where I had hit myself so hard in the face that I gave myself a monstrous black eye. I mean, like, it was swollen. Got really swollen right here on the side. Got turned yellow, green, black, blue. It was huge. There was no way that someone wasn't going to notice it. It was just giant lump and giant bruise covering my whole entire face. I hated myself. I didn't like who I was as a person. I didn't like the way I looked. I didn't like that I wasn't where I wanted to be in life. My anxiety was so bad that I couldn't go in public. I couldn't talk to people. I couldn't call people on the phone. I couldn't have interactions with people just in general. Like, I locked myself in my house and never really came out. The day that I got my letter to start testosterone, I could tell that I was starting to get better already. I had in my hand my golden ticket to happiness. The first day I started T, my whole life did a 180. I went from expecting to end up killing myself one day to picturing a whole future that I was actually excited about. My whole attitude changed, my whole perspective on life changed, and I had something to look forward to. I officially had something to look forward to every day. A new change, a new physical change. It all just made me so happy. Like, watching myself change, watching myself become who I had always imagined myself to be. It's amazing. So for the first month that I was on T was awesome. I was so happy. Like, I felt like just like a little boy. Just like a little energetic boy who was happy about everything, loved everything, and I would say that my first month of T went really well. On my 1 month of T, I had my very last menstrual cycle. So after my 1 month on T, the following month, when I reached my 2 months on T, when I should have had another menstrual cycle, never came. And that's when I started to notice that I was getting a little bit more irritable. Just everything irritated me. That's mainly what it was, is I was just irritated all the time. So for the course of my 2 months, I was a brat, to say the least. I was starting to get angry quickly like I would pre-T. Around my 3 months on T, where I am now, I no longer am getting irritable like that. That went away really fast. And I'm happier than I was even my first month on T. And my first month on T went really well. I was really happy. But right now, I am the happiest that I've been in probably the longest I can remember. I don't actually remember ever being this happy. But I know that I still have a really long way to go. But from not being able to picture a future at all to knowing where I'm going in life now and looking forward to it is like a huge change. I, honest to God, thought that the way I was going to go out was as I was going to commit suicide. I thought that I was going to end my own life. I remember not thinking that there was a purpose. I remember thinking that it was the end of the world. I remember thinking that this is where my life ends. And here I am beginning a whole new life. A life that I get to define on my own. Society doesn't get to define me. My parents don't get to define me. Family, friends, no one gets to define me except for me. I get to shape my own future, and I couldn't be more excited to do so. I've officially seen both sides of it. I've been in the lowest of the low, and now I'm not at the top, but I'm on my way there. You're not alone. If anyone were to ever need to talk to me, you can DM me on Instagram, you can message me on Tumblr, you can comment on YouTube. I will respond to anyone. I don't want anyone to ever feel how I felt, and that was alone and lonely in my own mind. I drove myself crazy, just stuck in my own head. So for anyone struggling with depression, please stay. Please don't give up. I swear it gets better. Strive for the next day. Strive for a better day. Strive for the best days, because they're coming. What's happening in your life right now isn't the end of the world. It very well may seem like it. And being depressed, that's normal to have that mindset. So if you're sitting there right now thinking that it's the end of the world, I'm telling you that it's not. It's gonna get better. And I hope that it does get better soon. Self-happiness is basically the key to climbing out of depression. Find what makes you happy and do it. Don't give yourself restrictions because of another human being. Don't. It's your life. Your life is way more worth than spending it thinking that you're not worth it. I love all of you, and I'm here for you. So this was my first emotional mental update from pre-T to 3 months on T. 4 months is coming up soon, so I'll be doing an update again soon. So subscribe and stay tuned, because my transition has just begun.